I'm going to go out and about today and find out what is the relationship between music and vegetable growing. So let's go. Let's find out what really is the relationship between music and vegetable growing. So what's your first name again?
My name is Michael.
Okay.
Michael, I'm from Philadelphia. My band is called Cow Muddy.
Cow Muddy.
Yeah, based on a famous cow, or infamous, died a long time ago. Sligo or Mayo, I'm not sure which cow.
All right, an Irish cow. Interesting, that died. So tell us, like, you're from Philadelphia in the United States of America. Are you a professional musician then, Michael?
Well, to be a professional, I think you have to do nothing but music.
Okay.
So I will never consider myself a professional musician.
Okay.
But I'll still long to be a musician.
And are you like working at one particular thing in life other than music, or just generally?
Well, I'm one of those hybrid musicians. Like
Okay.
I enjoy actually doing things other than music.
All right.
Including growing vegetables, farming. Worked at an organic farm
Oh,
for
wow.
a year back in the Philadelphia region, and I do construction, do carpentry for a company who I respect.
Okay.
A company called Onion Flats in Philadelphia.
All right.
Sustainable building. So all the other jobs that I do and the other passions I pursue
Yes.
fuel the music.
Okay.
And vice versa, like
Right.
we were talking about before you
Yeah.
turned the camera on.
Yeah. Which I found very interesting about you. Yeah.
In terms of songwriting,
Yeah.
songwriting demands new experiences,
Yes.
and if some of those new experiences pay, that's fine with me also.
Yeah.
But you have to balance it. You can't go for too long doing one job, because it can suck your soul dry.
So you're saying like one job in life in general sucks people's soul dry?
Yeah, I think if you consider it just a job,
Yeah.
then you've got a problem. If you can renew your interest in whatever occupation you're in through other occupations.
So years and years ago, traditionally in the world, there was this saying like job for life, permanent and pensionable.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
But if you go back a few decades earlier,
Yeah.
there was no definition of a job.
Okay.
As I worship, the farmers that did everything for themselves, because if you hired them, they could do just about every job that we consider a job in our modern economy.
Like every skill is
Mechanics,
yeah.
growing food,
Right.
construction. They perform their own music on the porch for themselves.
Okay.
All those things were provided by themselves for the family. So if you consider that, they performed multiple jobs. They were, what would you call it?
Multi-skills.
Yeah.
Just
There's a word
sustainable for their own living, I suppose. And I mean, you, like, with modern world as it is, like, you're multi-skilled yourself. Tell me about these vegetables, and do you just do it like to get from A to B, from job to job, paycheck to paycheck, or do you actually like to eat the vegetables yourself? Like, what type of, is it a lifestyle thing more so than?
It's funny. I had this discussion with friends of mine back home.
Yeah.
And they asked me the same thing. And I consider like music akin to food.
Okay.
You grow it for yourself mainly and your loved ones.
Okay.
And as soon as you put a price tag on it, I lose interest in it. So
Okay.
I worked at a farm for about a year, organic farm. So I learned. I had no knowledge of farming before that. I got in, jumped into it, and I realized that even in the organic farms of today that are supposedly the saving the world organic green farms,
Right.
you still have people that are just charging market rate. And to me, the ideal situation is where everybody learns to grow some vegetables, not all vegetables, but the vegetables they want to grow and need.
Yeah.
It's similar to in America, you had the Victory Garden. Grow what you need. You don't have to grow everything. You don't have to supplant the American farmer or the European farmer, but just grow something, tomatoes, whatever you can grow.
But what if, people don't have a field or garden to grow in, like people in an apartment living?
There's very few limitations nowadays because almost all the vegetables we can grow in pots. If you don't have light, that's your problem.
So
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're not seeking light, then.
So what is this light? Is this light just about vegetables and eating and?
Well, it's also about space.
Okay.
It's about appreciating space. Like if you realize once if you work on a farm, you understand what a farmer does.
Okay.
Day in, day out. You understand the need for open space. And naturally you understand the need for light.
So you're saying that
is the key.
apartment livers should, if they're in a gloomy apartment, get out of an apartment? Or are you saying that light goes deeper, there's a more ambiguous meaning to it, is what you're saying, is it, or what?
Well, I've thought about this because I live in Philly.
Okay.
We have a lot of high-rises.
All right.
And a lot of more high-rises yet to be built that will be, in the future, blocking the light of some 3-story, 4-story apartment dwellings like you speak of. Now, the laws may change in the future where, especially if one building, say it's a 4 or 5-story building, has solar power units, solar array that they depend on for their power production, the laws will be changed, and there may have already been changed in some parts of the world where you can't block their light.
Okay.
Because thereby you will be blocking their power source.
Okay.
So it's similar, very similar with inner city properties where if you want to grow vegetables, but that's at the small scale. But I'm saying you need to move about. If you're in the city and trapped in a dingy, dark apartment,
right,
you need to travel out to the country if you're able to, and just to see the wide open space.
One of the things you said there is you mentioned how light for growing vegetables obviously is really, really important, but also you mentioned that music and creating music and songs and stuff like that is kind of akin to...
So you're getting me back on point.
Yeah, is akin to your growing of vegetables, and you have this huge emphasis on light. So does the light come back onto to creating music, or for people just to sustain themselves as people, as human beings in this life or in this world?
Well, I'll make a metaphor, a comparison. The light that vegetables need is similar to the attention that people give to musicians.
Okay.
So in music, light is attention. Human attention to what a musician is attempting. And it's not always necessary. There are some brilliant musicians who can play in the dark and satisfy themselves forever.
Right.
Those are not the musicians that I want to follow. The musicians that people need, and the light that vegetables need, and plants need in general, is light and attention.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will say that when they first begin growing plants or taking care of trees or tending rose bushes or whatever, is that they need the light, but they need the human attention.
Okay.
And it's
so you're saying
inverse therapy.
So you don't like, even though a musician can be very talented, if they're locking themselves away and not showing their talent, you're saying there has to be a human connection as well? Is that the same way as with vegetables growing and the land and all that?
If you take it to the next level, you say some vegetables can grow with grow lights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I've yet to make my decision on that, but I would prefer plants grown in natural light.
Is that to ingest, to eat, or is it because of other?
It could be. We don't even know because studies haven't shown.
Okay.
What I will say is I prefer plants grown in soil because they do absorb elements that we're not even aware of in the soil. because the soil is like outer space. We haven't explored the soil in all its intricacies.
Yeah.
So a lot of people will try to convince people that you can grow food in hydroponically with nutrients. I just don't buy that. And that's just me, because I'm doubtful of man's ability to recreate what happens in the soil.
Okay.
Knowing what knowing what little study I did on the soil.
Yeah.
It's mind-bending and it's incomprehensible.
Okay.
And therefore you get the elements that you get that go into the food, the tomato, the broccoli, whatever it is. Those are multiple elements, not just nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, which is what farmers apply to fields. It's multiple trace elements, all these things. We're not quite aware of it.
We're not quite aware of it until the future, until
on
we.
a public scale.
Yeah. Okay.
So the soil, I like the ground. I like to walk on it. I like to know that it's.
Do you think that's
surface.
important to be amongst nature, on the ground, to
Yes,
walk on it?
yes,
The
yes,
process
absolutely.
more than the produce. Do you think that's very important?
It's
for farming?
incredibly important.
Okay.
Like I hear kids that grow up in an inner city, in an urban environment, are bewildered and amazed when they go to a suburb even and see rabbits or things that we take for granted if you grew up in the suburbs, which I did, and wildlife and snakes, and it's almost like another world to them. So we do need to bridge the gap somehow between the concrete urban environment and the wild country, and in between those two areas are farmland and suburban zones.
Yeah.
And so that's where the integration needs to happen, mainly between suburban sprawl, which has to stop, and urban development, which has to be smarter. It has to stop too, because you can't have farms growing beyond their scale, only growing one corn or soy or wheat or whatever.
Okay, cool.
Monoculture.
Thank you so much, Michael, and we'll have a tune.
I digress.
All right. So, there you have it. That is the relationship between music and vegetable growing. Until next time, thanks for subscribing. If you haven't already, please do. So then, for you, now, have a wonderful day.